Hello everyone. Welcome to Quantmasters. I'm Harshita Alveli. With us we have Jay Singh who is from Mumbai and he is placed in TCS. So let's get started. Let's talk to him and know about his interview experience with TCS. Hi Jay.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm also fine, ma'am.
Okay, firstly we would like to congratulate you for getting placed in TCS, Jay. We are
Thank you.
very happy for you.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Okay, so ready to share your experience with us?
Yes, ma'am, for sure.
Firstly tell me from which college are you from, Jay?
Ma'am, I am actually from a third tier college. It's not very well known. It's in Pune. The name is Suman Ramesh Tulsiani Technical Campus. It used to be a branch of VIT that is available in Pune, but right now it's of its own.
Okay, okay. Then which branch are you from? Which department?
I'm from computer science engineering, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So tell us about your job role, your package.
So I have got a default Ninja package. I gave the NQT that was held in October, so I registered for that, and then I got selected. In means around November ending, I received my letter. I received my mail that I cleared my technical exam, and then I had my interview in the first week of December, and then after 2 weeks, I received my mail that I had been selected. And in January starting, they sent me the job letter, offer letter, which was of around 3.3 lakhs CTC. It was a CTC, and if I talk means it was a CTC cumulative, and the role was assistant system engineer. And they have not yet assigned a role. We have like two languages which we can mainly work on. So I was given either Python or Java, so I choose Java. So right now it is in the CPAs are going on. We haven't been
Okay.
means given a lot of responsibilities right now.
Okay, okay. So let's talk about the first round. So totally how many rounds were there?
Two rounds were there, not many rounds were there. Two rounds were there. First was the technical round. That was the
Okay.
exam that was held. So for that we had four portions. That was the
Before that, you
work.
had given the TCS NQT exam, right? The
Yeah.
first
So
round.
so that I was means including that there are only were two rounds.
Including that, there are only two rounds.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then tell us about the first round, NQT. How many sections were there?
Four sections were there, ma'am. The first section was the numerical ability. Then the
Okay.
second was verbal. Third was problem solving, and the fourth one
Okay.
was coding, ma'am.
Okay.
So
Then
all
the
the
numerical, how many questions were asked? First section.
numerical, ma'am, I guess there were 60 questions each.
16.
60, ma'am, 60. 60.
Every section had 60 questions.
No, ma'am, sorry, numerical had 60. Sorry, ma'am. Numerical
Okay.
had 60 and verbal ability had 20 and problem solving had 20. The most was from numerical ability, ma'am.
Okay, 60 questions. And how much time was given? Sectional time was allotted?
90 minutes was allocated for numerical ability, then half an hour for verbal ability, and problem solving was half an hour.
Okay, so do you remember questions from what topics were asked? The first section?
Ma'am, numerical ability mostly it was not that hard. I expected it to be hard, but it was not that hard. It was basic statistical and probability, and then we were means statistical also. It was the banking all that were given to calculate which means for example we are given that goods was transported by air and by land and by sea, and we were given different years and different values were given. So we have had to calculate which was the best route for which
Okay,
year,
this is
what was
what
the
we
average.
call as data interpretation, right? Data
So data
interpretation.
interpretation. So this
Okay.
was there, and not many hard means some were hard, like we had to calculate a distance also for some trains which it
Mhm.
started from A and point B, so it was not that hard. It was not
Okay.
that hard.
Then 60 questions and what other topics were asked?
Actually, I don't recall exactly what were the
Okay,
questions
okay.
asked. Okay,
No issues. So level of difficulty was also okay types. You could answer.
it was okay, not that hard.
And the time was also sufficient?
Time was sufficient, ma'am, because the questions were not that lengthy as it was supposed. Means I imagined it to be more harder, but it was not that much hard.
Okay, okay. So that was about the first section. Then the second section?
Second section was actually it did not take much time because uh, it is quite common. Means they had jumbled up sentences. We have four or five questions were jumbled up sentences. We had to arrange them in an order. Then we had
Mhm.
like small passages, and four to five. I had two passages and four to five questions were there from it. Then we had two words, and two words. The meaning of that word means what's the closest meaning that you can think of was it. And then the last question I guess was to find an error. Means different parts of a sentence was there and it was divided into four parts, and we were asked which part had an error. So that was
Okay.
exactly what was there in the work.
Verbal section. Okay. So the level of difficulty was easy.
The comprehension part was somewhat difficult, but apart from that, it was very easy. It was not
Other
that hard.
things were
I
easy.
finished that in 12 or 13 minutes, I guess. That did not take
What was the time given? 20 questions and
20 minutes.
30
20
minutes.
questions, 20 minutes. That's it.
Okay. 1 minute for every question.
Every
So,
question,
and the
yes.
time was more than enough.
Sufficient. Yes.
Okay. Then the third section?
The third section was problem solving, ma'am. We had to, that section also, I don't remember exactly what was the question.
Exactly. So how many questions were there?
In that also 20 questions were there.
You don't
That,
remember like what kind, at least one or two examples? What
no,
kind?
I have given so many entrances. I am quite confused
Don't
which one
remember.
was it actually.
No issues, no issues. Okay, then the other section, fourth section.
The coding section, that's the funny part because my compiler wasn't working and I had a basic that palindrome. I was given a palindrome code to write for a check whether it was a palindrome string. So my compiler wasn't working, so I could not compile not first program and not the second program. And in my result also, I got 3 marks just in coding. I don't know why even they gave me 3 marks, and that's why I could not qualify in digital in the first place, ma'am. Because in the
Okay.
NQT total overall, I had 1500 marks out of
Mm-hmm.
1800. That was more than enough, but in coding I just had 3 marks, so that's why it got, I think that's why I wasn't in the ninja toppers, I guess.
Rated for the digital. Okay, super. So when did you get to know that you are shortlisted for the next round?
Ma'am, around 10 November, exactly 10 November I received the
Number
mail.
2020.
Yes, ma'am, 10 November 2020.
Okay. Then when was the second round conducted?
The second round was conducted, the date was given like between 4 November and 4th December and 21st December 2020. We might get a day prior to the interview, means 20 hours we
Oh.
will have a window about.
Mm-hmm.
So it was at 6th December, I guess I received the mail that my interview is on 8th December. So I
Okay.
prepared for it, means I prepared my projects and all that. I was quite confident I will make it. So it was scheduled on 8th December.
Okay. Yeah. Tell us about the second round. So basically it was a technical round, right?
No, it was combination of all the three.
Okay. Okay.
The
Yeah.
HR was also present there, the MR was also present there, and the TR was also present. And it was supposed to be 30 minutes or 35 minutes, but it lasted for 50 minutes, man. I don't know why, but because he asked me many questions about my project, and I got, okay, I'll tell you from the beginning. As I started,
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
HR welcomed me. She was like, "Hello, Jay, introduce yourself." So I guess for first 15 to 20 minutes, I went on about myself and the project, which was not the
Oh.
right thing actually, because afterwards, many of my friends also told me you should not start going on your project. But actually, the technical and the MR didn't seem to mind. They were actually quite, I think they were impressed because I explained my project in very much detail. I have done 4 projects. The first project that I did was in my first year. It was a chemical store management, a medical store management using Java and SQL. So I explained all the working and my role in that. Then it was in second year, I had done a Twitter sentiment analysis, which is not quite a big program. So that's quite a big project. So that's why I did it on myself, on my own. And the third one was a mass detection using AI. So to check whether a person is wearing a mask or not. So I told him all the libraries that I had used. And in fourth year, currently I was creating a disease symptom analysis. Means a person in layman terms, because in doctorate terms, if in today's days we go online and we check, so we cannot understand quite the symptoms and we get quite deadly and chronic diseases, which makes us worry. So instead of that, me and my partner, we created a project which could explain in layman terms what your symptoms could lead up to, or did you need doctor's assistant in emergency or not. So they were
Okay.
quite impressed. Then they started asking me the basic questions of C++ and OOP. So,
So you
so
explained all the four projects to them.
yes, ma'am. That's why it took 20 minutes to me. I
Okay. Okay.
I did the introduction, and in the introduction only, after telling my strengths and weaknesses, I went on with my projects also. And I thought they might stop me, they might ask me in the middle, but they were just happy listening. So I was also
Okay.
happy going on. I had prepared for that actually.
Okay. So apart from that, what else was asked?
So then the first question, the basic, I guess the default question, ki what are the 4 basic principle of hoops? So
Okay.
in that also it was very, means it
Hmm.
was easy to know that that would be asked. So I went on for like 5 to 6 minutes on that with the real life examples and all the types that is had, all the 4, and then means in also there are many types. So it took around 6 to 7 minutes nicely. Then
Okay.
he was like he told me to tell me the role that I had in my third year project. So third year project was the mass detection one. So he told me why did I use OpenCV? So OpenCV is a library which is used to check means to process images. So I told him that. Then he told me what are the algorithms that I used in my final year project. So I told him that I used 4 algorithms. So he told me what are the other algorithms than that. I told him that also. Then he asked me then to explain another algorithm than that. So I did not use SVM, support vector
Okay.
machine. I explained him that. Then he was happy. Means no, and he asked one question which I can't. No, he asked me how he asked me about vectors in Java. So at that time, I did not recall what is vector in Java from SVM, support vectors machine. So he asked me vectors in Java, and I was not quite sure what vectors is. So I thought instead of giving a wrong answer, I had not even means missed one question. So I thought I would let this one go. I told sir, I'm sorry, I don't recall it right now. I will get back to you later on. Means if I did it. So he was like, okay, no problem. And then he told me that's it from my side. You can go to the MR.
Okay.
So
What
technically,
questions were asked by him?
yeah, but it was a long. Actually, it wasn't long, but I went on speaking. That's what
Okay.
happened.
Yeah, then the MR, what did he ask?
Then in the MR, he asked the first question that he asked was, Jay, explain an example where in your life you were a proactive person. So at that time, I did not know the exact meaning of proactive. So
Okay.
instead of assuming what the meaning was, I asked him in front only, ki, sir, I don't exactly know what the meaning of proactive is. Can you help me out? He was like, no problem. Proactive means a person who takes initiative without someone even telling him what to do. So I was like, okay, sir. Then I told him a real life example where when I go playing, means I told them my hobby was to play and watch football. So I told them whenever I go to play football, to
Hmm.
make the markings, my friend don't help me, and I was frustrated of telling them every time. So the next time what I did, I started doing the markings on my own, and I used to not call them. So after 1 or 2 days without my telling, they used to come and they used to start doing the markings with me. So he was quite impressed with my example, and he was like, very good, Che. Then he told me that suppose you have a project and your guide tells you that your project is up to the mark, but on the day of the submission your guide tells you that your project is not up to the mark. So what will be your reaction? So I will say, sir, I said I will try to make it up to the mark with the time that I have left with myself. So he was like, no, but your guide is telling, no, it is not up to the mark. He cannot accept it. He cannot give it for further means further markings and all. So I was like, no, sir.
Hmm.
At the most of the time that I have, I will try to use it, and apart from that, I cannot do anything. So he was like, are you sure you cannot do anything? So I had something in my mind ki I can complain to the superior, but I did not wanted to go around his back. I did not wanted to give him that means thinking about me. So I did not say that. So he told me, Jay, what about complaining to your HOD about your guides means guides observation guides how he or she is behaving with you. So I was like, sir, yes, I can do that also. So he was like, yeah, you should do that. Means in real life scenarios when you are working, if your team leader is not means performing well, you should tell to the HR or report it to the HR. I said, okay, sir, I will keep that in mind. So the MR only asked me 2 questions, not more than that.
Okay. What about the other person? There was one more panel member,
Then
right?
HR was there. So
Right.
HR, she asked me, Jay, what do you think makes a leader? What are the two qualities that makes a leader? So I told her two qualities. I told her first was the quality that to lead with an example, and second quality is what to forgive people. Means not forgiving them oftenly, but for the first mistake, he should forgive them and he should teach them. So she was like, okay. Then she asked me what is the difference between a leader and a boss. So the first reason that I gave was the reason that I gave was also a difference that a leader, according to me, leads with an example, and a boss does not leads with an example. So she was like, no, a boss can also lead with an example. Actually, I got in a quite of an argue with her. I don't know, but it was not that much, but I felt like that. So she asked me, whom would you like to work under, a boss or a leader? So I told, ma'am, it's quite understandable. I told this, and this was not supposed to be said, but I realized I shouldn't have said that. But I said, ma'am, it's quite understandable. I would like to work under a leader. So she said, and she asked why. So I told her that a leader would understand me and he would talk to me nicely and he would also work with me. So she was, no, but she told me, but no, many people don't understand. And I am also a leader, but I want to be a boss. She told me, I want to be a boss. Now that made me completely contradict her
Confused.
statement.
Hmm.
So she asked me, so it went on for a while, about for 5 minutes. So she asked me finally, Jay, what do you want to say? Do you want to change your statement or do you want to stay by your statement that you want to work under a boss or a leader? So I told her, ma'am, I would stay with my statement. I would want to work under a leader. So she was like, okay, Jay, we don't have any more questions for you. And she told me, at last, she told me, we would get back with you with the results in 1 or 2 weeks. So that was a giveaway, I guess, to that I have cleared it. Because I asked my friends also who did not clear it, they were not given any thing about ki they'll get the results or not. So that in
Okay.
yes.
Ah, okay. So when did you get to know that you are selected?
So it did not come in 2 weeks actually. It came around in 3 weeks. Yeah, after it came on 25th December. It was the day of Christmas only. I was out with my friends and I received a
Okay.
mail that I had been selected. So that's why I remember the date. And then they told me after 2 or 3 weeks I will receive the offer letter. So that's when it happened.
Okay, okay, super. So that's when you got to know that you are selected. This was for
For
a
Ninja.
Ninja role, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then you also cleared digital, isn't it?
Yes, so around in February or March starting, they told us that they were gonna hire because I don't know. I am just thinking because the digital candidates were not sufficient enough or whatever. But
Okay.
they arranged for DCA. So
Okay.
DCA was scheduled for I guess 20th March. 20th March it was scheduled for in the first. So mine was also on 20th March, and the questions at that on that day was not that hard, but they were of mediocre level. The two coding questions that were asked were of mediocre level, and I
Only coding
compiled
questions were asked?
only two coding questions were asked. Yes, ma'am.
Nothing else was asked.
Nothing else. 1 hour and two coding question. We can do it in any language also.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Do you remember what questions were there?
Let me think. The two coding questions that were asked, I
At
guess
least
the
what
no, the one,
concepts?
the one coding, I remember the one coding question. The first coding question was if a number is raised to 4, means 2 square, 2 cube, and 2 raised to 4. So if it has the same number at the ending of it, we needed to check that. Means suppose if 2
Okay.
is raised to 4, it gives us 8. But if 4 is raised to 4, it gives us 128. So instead of 128, if it was 124, then 4 is that number. So we needed to check whether it is that number or not. So that was one program, and another program I cannot recall right now. So these two
Okay.
programs were there, and my compiler gave up again. My compiler was
Okay.
not working. They do not have a very good compiler, ma'am, and the ID is also not very good. But
Hmm.
I somehow wrote the code and I did not compile it. I just did it by my trial run and I submitted it. Then after
Okay.
5 to 6 days on their platform, they told us that many people had faced compiler issues, so they were gonna arrange a re-exam.
Okay.
And
Okay.
many people had wrote their program right also. So the people
Okay.
who got selected in March, they did not need to give an interview. They were directly given the 7 lakh package. They were selected for digital.
Okay.
Then I received a mail that you wanted to say something.
Yeah, please tell. Continue.
So I received a mail about that I had my re-exam on 17th April. I received that around
Okay.
10th April. So I had my exam on 17th April. I was prepared very much, but the two coding questions that were asked were quite easy questions. Means we had to
Okay.
find out if the input given is a 5-digit number or not. So that was very easy. And then we were given an input, and in there it was binary number 0 and 1. So we had to find out how many occurrences of 0 are there and how many occurrences of 1 are there. So those
Okay.
were very easy questions. So my both the questions ran in almost 25 to 20 minutes. So
Okay.
and on means I talked to my friend. So there was a rumor. I don't think it was means said that it is true, but they told that they were checking time complexity also. Means how
Okay.
much time they have taken to do that. So I was
Hmm.
happy that mine would be done. But after 2 months, after 20th April, after 2 months, they start giving out mail on 1st June.
Okay.
I checked on YouTube. A guy uploaded the video. He told that they were sending out mails of rejection, and and if they told if you don't receive the mail in till afternoon, you might be selected and you might be scheduled for an interview. So I
Okay.
was worried because, and then till night I did not receive a interview mail or a rejection mail. So I was quite worried. So I slept around 12 or 1. I was just checking my Gmail every 15 minutes to see if there is a mail or not, but there was no mail. Then on 2nd June in the morning when I woke up at around 9 o'clock, I received the mail that I had been selected. But in
Okay.
that mail, it was written that I thought if we were selected, then we could go directly for digital. But it was not like that. I
Okay.
guess because the codes were very easy.
Okay. Yeah.
So many people would have made it. So that's why they arranged for an interview.
One more
So
interview was conducted. Okay.
so
Hmm.
then I checked on online platforms. So many people had all received two mails. First mails was the confirmation, and the second mails that they received was stating that there might be an interview between 4th June and 10th June.
Okay.
So actually, by reading that, I started to prepare. I thought means maybe if I get rescheduled on 5th or 4th, that might be very bad. But the chances of that were very less because my result came on 2nd. So I was very
Mhm.
optimistic that my interview might be on 7th or 8th. But still, I started preparing on 2nd June. And on 3rd June, when I woke up in the morning at 8:30, I had a mail that I have my interview on 4th June at 1 p.m.
Okay. You
on the
just
first day
had one
itself.
day to prepare.
Yeah, I had one
Okay.
day to prepare for the whole DCA digital interview.
Okay.
So then I went online to check what are the means reviews given by other people, what were the most common question asked. So then I came across Quantmasters, and then I saw the 9 hour course, which was very helpful for me because it has mainly it had the recent trends, because the recent trends was the most important for the digital one, as I'll tell you the
Mhm.
questions that were asked. And it also had the basic of SQL and C++, so that helped me. And then I did that for 9 hours, and then I saw other videos and I tried to prepare, and I tried to prepare my project in detail also.
Mhm.
Then tomorrow, and I had heard from many friends that they call and they reschedule earlier also. Means if your
Okay.
interview is supposed to be at 1, if many people cancel, then they can call you around 11 and they can tell you if you are free, then you have to join right now.
Okay.
And if you are giving the interview, you cannot even say no. So
Yeah.
that's also a problem. So I was prepared from 10th only, at 10 a.m. only. Ki I have to, they can call at any time and may be rescheduled. So I was ready from 10, but they did not call me, and I joined at 1 p.m. only. So
Mhm.
after I joined, there were only two people. I thought there will be three people, but two people were only there. I guess the HR and MR was only the same person, and there was a TR. So TR was a male, and HR and MR was a female. So she told me, "Okay, Jay, introduce yourself." So this time I tried to keep it short. So I just introduced myself, and I told all of my hobbies, strengths, and weaknesses, and my college name. And then I told them my project name and which year I had did it. And then lastly, I mentioned, sir, should I explain my projects or should I stop? So he told me, no, no, stop. It's okay. It's enough. Then
Okay.
he started asking me the question.
Okay.
So the first question he asked me, what is your domain? Means is it Python or Java? So I told him, sir, I my domain is Python, but I have done several machine learning projects, so I also know Python. So he asked me what is tokens. First question was what is tokens. So tokens was
Okay.
a basic question, so I answered that question. Then the second question he asked me directly, what is a palindrome string? And that
Okay.
question I had written in my first exam. So I remembered
Yeah.
that. So he told me to explain the palindrome string. I explained him. Then he told me to write it. Means he told me
Okay.
to write it on a code, to share my screen and write it on a WordPad. I wrote it and I shared it with him. So in the first, I made means instead of using a less than sign, I used a greater than sign.
Okay.
So I wrote the whole code, and he was like, Jay, are you sure this will work? So I said, yes, sir. So he said, please check again. So I told, okay, sir, give me a minute. While checking, I found out that I had used a lesser than sign. I changed it with a greater than sign, and he was like, okay, Jay, no problem. Then
Mhm.
he asked me to write a code on random number generator. Means we had
Okay.
to generate a random number. So for that, I used an inbuilt class. I thought he might say, don't use an inbuilt class, but he did not say that. So I used an inbuilt class. Then he asked me to explain my third year mass detection project.
Okay.
So I thought he might say me to stop, tell me to stop in between, but he did not tell that. He told me to do it in one go. So around 3 to 4 minutes, I went on about that project and I explained him everything that I did in that. Then he asked me what are the types of ML. So I explained him the types of ML, then what are differences in that and all that I told him. Then
Okay.
he in fourth year I had selected four algorithms to do my project. So he was like, why did you select that four algorithms and not any another algorithms? So I
Okay.
told him, sir, because those algorithms are quite efficient and quite accurate. So that's why I use those algorithms and not another algorithm. So he
Okay.
asked me what is the difference between regression and classification.
Okay.
So I explained him, and these were all that were also given in the yeah, recent trends in Quantmasters 9 hour course. So it was the machine learning was also given in that. So that helped me, and the mainly the example that he gave that was so easy. So I explained the same example in the interview also. So he asked me what is the difference between the regression and classification. I explained that also. So then he was like, okay, Jay, there is no more question from our side.
Okay.
So it was fine. Then the HR started, and actually in the intro I told them that from means to explain my strength and weaknesses, I tried to give them a real life example, but she was not convinced with it. Like in the
Okay.
introduction I told them that I was born and brought up in Mumbai, but to go after my go outside my comfort zone, I chose a college in Pune. So at first I faced many problems, but due to my quick learning, problem solving, and quick adaptability skills, I was able to overcome them. So I was trying to give my weaknesses in a strengths in a real life example. So as soon as the HR came, she was like, Jay, if tell me if I'm wrong, but you only stated that you faced many problems when you went to Pune. So I told yes, ma'am. So she said ki if you would have moved into North India or into South India, I might have been convinced with your answer. But you moved from Mumbai to Pune, so that is not quite answerable. Quite not means I cannot be
Convincing, yeah.
sure convincing about that. So I told her, ma'am, actually I was in ICSE. So after third, we were not taught Marathi, and I did not have any Marathi friends also. So I was
Okay.
not very fluent in Marathi. So when I went to Pune, and my college is on the outskirts of Pune, outskirts of Pune. So it is a village area kind of. So there
Okay.
mostly people talk in Marathi. So it was not easy for me to means adjust with them and talk to them. So like for the first 2 or 3 months, I was not able to get myself adapted to that, but after that, I was able to talk to them, and now I can fluently talk in Marathi also. So she told me, okay, but that is not quite convincing, but okay. She told me like that. So
Okay.
then she went on asking me HR. I don't know if she was HR, MR, or what, but she asked me technical questions also. She
Okay.
asked me what is the full form of HTL. That was the one question that I could not means answer to because I was confused. She was asking about SQL, but she told me HTL, and I did not know what an HTL was. She
Okay.
asked me what is calloc and malloc, so I explained her what is calloc and malloc. Then she asked me what is recursion function. I explained her what is recursion function. Then she asked me about dynamic programming. So I told her what a dynamic programming is. I told her with an example, and that was also mentioned in the video. So that only same example that I gave. 2 to 3 questions were asked to me from the video, ma'am. So that helped me a lot.
Yeah, you
And
had
then
watched the entire video the previous day only, so you remembered everything.
so I actually made a note also of it. I filled almost a book of 100 pages writing the notes
Okay.
so that I could revise it quickly. So that's how I did it. Then she asked me what is the difference between delete and delete with square brackets. So that
Okay.
also I did not answer correctly. 2 questions, actually one question I could not answer, and one question although I answered, that was not means entirely correct. So this was the second question. And then she told me, okay, Jay, this will be the last question from our side and the most important one. She told me most important one. She was like, why means convince me that how can I hire you for a digital candidate as all you are already a ninja candidate? Give me 2 reasons. So
Okay.
actually, I was not very well prepared for this question. I was totally into technical. I did not prepare for HR that much because I thought HR might not ask that many questions. So at that time, I could only think of 2 reasons. The first reason that I said was I wanted to work in modern technologies. So as you can see in the project that I have, the third and fourth year was on AI and machine learning. So she stopped me there and she told me, but in Ninja also you can work on modern technologies. There's no problem in that. So I told her, ma'am, yes, but I think that I would be able to apply myself more as a digital candidate, and that would be fit for me. So she was
Okay.
like, okay. And the second answer that I gave was I am a good leader. So I have headed many technical events in my colleges. So that's why I told her I am a good leader. So she asked me, why do you think that trade would be usable in digital? So I told her, ma'am, because I have heard that the ninja candidates, the team leader of a ninja candidate is a digital candidate. So she told me, whom you have heard that from? So I told, ma'am, from my friend. So she told me that don't make assumptions. She told me last, okay, don't make assumptions. And then she told me, do you want to ask any questions? So I was like, no, ma'am, it's all from my side. And she told me, okay, Jay, thank you very much.
Okay.
That's
So,
it.
what was the duration of this round?
It was around 45 to 50 minutes.
Okay, you had so much to talk.
Ma'am.
And on which platform was this conducted?
WebEx.
WebEx. Okay, super. So, when did you get to know that you are selected for the digital role?
No, ma'am, it was not. It just happened on 4th June. No, acha, selected for the digital round or digital interview?
You are not yet selected for the digital round.
No, ma'am, it is not. The interview has just been done on
Okay,
4th June.
interview is done,
Yes, ma'am.
but now you are a ninja candidate, right?
Yes, ma'am. Now I'm an India candidate. They
You
told
are
me that.
waiting for the results.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, super, super. So, would you like to give any suggestions or tips to your friends who are trying to get placed in TCS?
Ma'am, the only suggestion would be because I have also done that only. I did not do means the projects I did not take that much interest, but do as much as projects that are there. And it does not mean that you have to do very complex projects. Simple projects also, if you do, it gives a lot of weightage. And we should do projects, and HR also, we should also prepare for HR sometime, according to my experience, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay. Okay. So thanks for sharing your experience with us, Jay. I'm sure students who are watching this will find it very useful.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. To you too.
Okay, then congratulations for getting placed once again.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
I
Thank you.
hope, I wish you all the best. I really wish you will be selected for the digital roles as well.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, then Jay.
Okay.
Take care. Bye bye.
Same to you.